Hello and welcome. Orna here from the Alliance of Independent Authors, speaking to you from London, and you are very welcome to our monthly free educational seminar around the topics of self-publishing. And I have here with me this evening somebody I know you're all going to really want to milk for all sorts of wonderful ideas about how to get money before you actually publish your book. It is Amanda from Pubslush. Pubslush is the only crowdfunding platform that is specifically for literary projects and books. Good evening from London, Amanda.
Thanks so much, Orna, for having me. I'm really excited. I'm here in New York, just wrapping up a great weekend at BEA and excited to be here to talk to all the Alliance members a little bit more about not only Pubslush, but crowdfunding in general and whether or not it's a path you should consider.
Fantastic. Yeah, BEA was a blast. You enjoyed yourself?
Absolutely. It's always a great time to see all my publishing friends, but also meet some great new authors who are just looking to really understand the industry and new outlets that they can really take to take their book to the next level.
Great. Yeah, I was thrilled to see so many independent authors at BEA this year. I think it's the start of something really big, which we'll be talking about as time goes on. But anyway, this evening it's about crowdfunding, and some of our members, are just starting out. We have an associate membership for people who are just preparing a book for self-publishing. Some of them have published many books, and we're going to be talking about crowdfunding, as something that's suitable for people across the board. But let's just start with the basics. Let's start with somebody who doesn't know what crowdfunding is. What is crowdfunding?
Yeah, of course. Let's just start with a general definition. Crowdfunding is a way to essentially pool the crowd. It's a way to have them support you in advance of your project. Really, we're going to be talking today exclusively about reward-based crowdfunding, which is the Pubslush model, also the model of other sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, which some of you might be familiar with. It's a way to rally around the support of friends, family, people in your network, fans, before the project actually, becomes live. So for another example would be, people that are starting a new business venture. They might want to really show that there's a need for it in the market by getting the support by people that would be potential clients. And in this case, we're really targeting people that would be potential readers of yours, people that you want to say, is there a need for this book? Do people want to read it? Do they like my writing? Do they want to share it with their friends and family, et cetera, et cetera?
So you're talking really about almost crowdfunding, almost as a feasibility test. Is this book, what it should be, and perhaps taking feedback as to whether you do manage to raise funds or whether people's interest is there to perhaps change and tweak your project before you even write it?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of authors that aren't really crowdfunding for the idea phase. I think that there's a lot of other ways that you can test an idea. Crowdfunding, really, you don't want people to have to wait a year, 2 years to get your book if you're just testing an idea phase, because people are giving you money. They're not donating, they're giving you money in exchange for something. As a reward or a show of support, you give them a copy of your book or your ebook, things like that. So the idea phase, there are a lot of other ways you can test an idea. Get out there in writing workshops, get out there, join something like the Alliance that have other writers that you can kind of bounce back ideas from, or just put your writing out there for free and get some beta readers to kind of give you some positive feedback. So I really wouldn't think of Pubslush and crowdfunding as something as, I'm thinking of writing this book, what does everyone think? Possibly go to other outlets for that.
Okay, so at what is the ideal point then at which an author calls you guys in?
So we really are working with authors in the pre-publication phase. So anywhere between 120 to 90 to 60 days before you actually publish. Ideally, coming to us at the 90-day mark, letting us know that you want to get started with us. We'll give you some great pre-campaign tips that you can start implementing, some marketing tactics you can start implementing, things that you might have not thought of for your book, out-of-the-box ideas, and really start gearing up. Just remember, this isn't an overnight thing. You can't decide tomorrow you want to start, doing a Pubslush campaign, and you shouldn't decide tomorrow that you want to publish. There has to be some momentum, some platform building, not only for your book but for yourself, and really start gaining that, that fan base or that reader base that you need to actually sell copies of your book.
Fantastic. And obviously the rewards are key to that, to picking good rewards. I was hoping you'd be able to give us some examples of people who have, done some creative and interesting things and have successfully managed to attract money that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think enticing rewards is the number one thing you should definitely consider when going into this project. It really sets you apart from just having your ebook or your print book on Amazon or in a bookstore. You need to be able to offer something that maybe is a little out of the box, a bit different. We've seen something as simple as, a personalized handwritten thank you note from the author. Or we've also had projects where children handwrite a thank you note, whether maybe it's a children's book or it's a literacy project geared towards, giving books back to children. Those ideas that are simple and easy and free, that give people just like, kind of a foot in the door to supporting your project. Maybe they don't really want the book, but maybe they do want to help you and support you. So something as simple as that, or even I always say swag, so bookmarks, we've seen totes, we've seen just stuff that maybe is associated with the book. So if you have an adorable dog in all your books, those things, kids love those things, and parents will spend the extra, X amount of dollars to be able to get kind of a package that they can present to their child, which is nice. We've also seen things that are completely different and out of the box, like, for example, we had a yoga instructor who was offering one-on-one personalized yoga instruction from her for a 30-minute session with her book as well. So it's a way for more readers to get her book, but also to offer something that, is just really essentially her time. We've seen things like Skype interview with the author, or a business professional offering, a consultation. Maybe, everyone's dying for 30 minutes with Orna. I get it. But some people don't. So, that's a great thing that she could offer. She has some great insight and some great advice she could give to an author, and maybe that's something that someone would pay for, is just getting your ear and playing ideas off of you. So really knowing what your audience wants is really important. I think if you create a reward that's so out of the ordinary, but you have no fans that you think will actually purchase it, then maybe don't waste your time. Really be realistic, and maybe also put out ideas on your social media and see if people will bite. Do people like this idea? And just one more really easy thing to do too is people have done, where they have a discover by page in the back of their book, especially those first time indie authors out there. It doesn't cost an author anything to add an additional page in the back of their book, and just listing some of the names of the initial readers that helped bring your book to life and really supported you throughout this journey. That's a nice thing to do, and it costs very little.
Yeah, I think it's something that I'm always talking about. I think sometimes as writers we underestimate just how much people love to be involved in a book.
Absolutely, and I think it's we see some people that want to name a character in the next book, or they're really tied to a character, and maybe they help you, with a plot. Maybe they pick a location for someone to get murdered or something crazy. So it's fun to really be able to use your reader base to help build not only a great story, but essentially a better story around the fans.
Fantastic. Now, we have kicked off our community page on Pubslush, and I wanted to talk to you and for our members particularly to explain how our community page is going to work. So can you talk us through that, please?
Absolutely, yeah. The Alliance has kicked off a partner page with Pubslush. So essentially what that means is they're going to be any author that is interested in using crowdfunding, or maybe that they don't know that they're interested yet and they want to learn more. Orna and her team will be able to actually invite you to kick off your project through their page. And as more and more projects start to launch and become successful and then become books for sale, it'll be more of a community-driven area where not only other authors can help drive traffic and readers into one place, but readers will have full access to all Alliance books. It's a great way to really take an amazing organization that has a lot of great authors in it already, that a lot of you might possibly share the same readership. You might have readers that are interested in not only your book, but a fellow Alliance member's book. So why not, show them this book and showcase it in a way that they're not having to dive through Amazon's, 330,000 titles a year to find your book. They're able to say, wow, these are, they're actually possibly coming to the page to find great new content. So it's a nice way to belong to a community, but of course your book will be on pubslush.com, so you get the exposure and the foot traffic of other readers and publishers and agents that are trafficking our site. So it's a great way to also, have that discoverability we were talking about before, more eyes on your project. And it's a completely free process. It's free to kick off. Pubslush only, takes a percentage at the end if you're successful, and it's a very small percent, only 4%, and you have a whole additional community behind you, another group of people that are rooting for you to succeed and want to, buzz about you on social media, want to share you on a blog. And Orna's community is really great about showcasing the authors, especially ones that are really passionate behind and are really a driving force behind their book projects.
Fantastic. Okay, now a lot of the time we hear from our more experienced writers that they don't think crowdfunding is for them. They seem to perceive that it is in some way something for somebody when they're starting off, a leg up. But if you're doing well, you don't need it or shouldn't go there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we definitely get that feedback a lot, and there are a few things that I will speak to in regards to those authors specifically. One, of course, think of Pubslush as also a way, if you put the funding to the side, a way to really essentially get pre-orders and really create a buzz and momentum around a new title. No author have I ever heard complains about new readership. So it's a great way to kind of connect with your reader on a different level, something different and out of the box that you haven't done before, and in the hopes that your reader or your fan will actually share this with their family, their friends, their audience, and hope to create another buzz around it. Word of mouth is a huge way to get new readers, and people are constantly asking, myself, and I know Orna as well, how do I find my reader? And the best way to do that is to really be out there, try new things. And even the most established author struggles with this. They're struggling because there's just so much content out there. How can you capture the reader, but not only capture them, but hold on to them and make them come back book after book? Pubslush allows all the authors to export their reader data. So at the end, you get all your reader information. So whether you're a first-time author or you've published 20-plus titles, people want to know who their readers are. Maybe they want to add them to their newsletter database. Maybe they want to connect with them. But also established authors have the ability to, like we mentioned before with the rewards, maybe give them something that they can't buy anywhere else. Maybe it's a special edition chapter. Maybe it's a signed copy of your book. Things that will get people buzzing and get people to really understand your book a little bit more. And we also find people that are interested in giving back and social good and having a cause. So if you come to Orna or Pubslush and you say, well, I don't need the funding. I have money to publish my book. Well, that's great, but maybe you want to be able to give a percentage of your funding back to an organization that's really passionate for you, and Pubslush helps you facilitate all that as well. It's a way to really get a new buzz around, maybe a title that's going to be coming out in an audio version, or maybe you're doing a children's book app around an older title. So just creating a new momentum and buzz around something new and old.
Fantastic. Now, I know that some of the people who are listening to you talk will be excited by what you're talking about, but maybe another part of them, their heart is sinking and thinking, oh no, here's another great opportunity that represents another whole heap of work for me. And can you talk us through the sort of support that a writer can typically expect to get through this process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely think a lot of authors could be out there saying, oh, no, this is another thing I have to do. And I completely understand. There's so many outlets, of course. But this is not an outlet that you should think of as extra work. It's just a supplement. Everything that we ask you to put up on your Pubslush page, most likely you have right there on your desktop. A summary, an excerpt, a photo, all things that you already have. It's just another place to do it. And a lot of authors, we find they're looking for a place to really collect these pre-orders to gain the reader information. So that's an outlet to do it as well. The biggest also advantage I see to a lot of the authors out there that we haven't touched on yet is our buy link option. So not only are you creating a buzz before you publish, but when the Pubslush process is over for you as an author and you're heading out to publish and you're heading to the big guys, the Amazon and Barnes & Nobles of the world, you want to be able to have your book still be able to be discovered. So we allow you to actually come back and put your buy links into your Pubslush page. So if a reader discovers you next year, or in a month from now, they're able to actually click and buy your book right away. So it's only more discoverability for you as an author, more people that are able to learn about you, your project, and it's also the story behind the story. And I think that's important to remember, that a lot of these different outlets, like just putting your book for sale on major retailers, they're just showcasing your title, your summary, and your book cover. But also, people are very compelled to support an author and also to read the book if there's a great story behind it. And a lot of the authors listening today, a lot of you possibly aren't full-time, some full-time authors yet. Some might be, but some, Orna had said, are just starting out. Maybe it's your first book. Maybe you're writing a sequel and you're really trying to get, craft your tool. But for a lot of you, it's your passion. You love what you're doing, and that's what drives you. And people need to know that, because they want to support people that are passionate and excited about bringing something great and new into the world. So that's another thing to definitely keep in mind. But what type of support you can expect from Pubslush, of course, is, we have an author relations team. Our team are partnered with all different industry leaders and traditional publishers and agents that kind of navigate this world that is publishing. So opposed to going to other platforms out there, of course, with us, you're able to get not only the benefit of the crowdfunding option, but you're also able to get advice. We can steer you to a self-publisher if you need an organization that you might need for support, a conference in your area. So it's a really one-stop shop in the industry. So I think that's a really great tool, too, that really sets us apart from anything else.
I know you spend a huge amount of your time going around to conferences like BEA and many, many others, making those sorts of links into the industry. How important do you think that is? For Pubslush and for the people who would choose your platform over and above another one?
Hugely important. Yeah, we're anywhere out there at anywhere between 30 to 40 conferences a year, and that number is constantly growing as my team grows and as more and more of us really feel that it's as important to get out there as it is to sit behind a computer. We were just recently with Orna at PubSmart, which is a new conference in Charleston that was brought to us by some of our great industry professionals that we work very closely with. Amazing conference. I walked away. I always say it was a 10 out of 10 in my mind for a conference, because not only were the speakers amazing and the exhibitors amazing and the program great, but the authors there, they were just so much more open-minded than I've ever seen them before. And I was able to make, 150 genuine connections, give authors advice in real time, face-to-face, shake their hand, learn about their book, take a bookmark. So I think it is important for the industry leaders, people behind these great companies, to get out there and meet people. The importance of actually, shaking someone's hand and learning about their book. I think that is super important. I think that also helps you not only as a professional, but also as an author. You're able to develop credibility. You're able to be out there because you're trying to learn as much as you possibly can to better your tool. And that's something that, myself as a business owner in publishing, and when I see an author and they're asking me questions and they follow up with email with more questions and they just want to know what the best way is to be successful, that's an author I can't wait to work with. That's an author I want to see in my community, and that's an author that we're going to root for. And we see that all the time, where there are authors that sit on Pubslush at zero and they think that all these readers are just going to flock to their book with what's not a care in the world. And that's not really how the world works. You need to drive your own marketing. You need to drive your own traffic initially, like anything else. But once you get that initial momentum going, people will follow suit. People get excited to be a part of the discovery process. And I think it's important to make sure that you know that it is a lot of hard work, but the hard work does pay off when you have, for example, we had an author on Pubslush, first-time author. So hopefully this gives all of you out there that are first-time authors a little bit more confidence. First-time author, she was able to raise over $13,000 with us. And when she exported her reader data, she went through her list and was able to realize that 70% of her supporters were complete strangers that she had never met before. 70% out of $13,000. Huge amount for a first-time author.
Fantastic. But what was the book about?
Her book was called You're the Mother of All Mothers. It was a book about her struggle with the loss of a child and really empowering other women that have gone through the same thing. So I think definitely in the grief community, I would say. But she had done a lot of preliminary work before the campaign even kicked off. Many of her fans knew that the book was coming, and they rallied around her and shared the book, over and over and over again, if that was even possible. But she also came up with really creative ideas on how to get people excited about it. She didn't have a great cover yet, but she just recently got a cover, 5 to 6 months after her campaign. She recircled back to every supporter and let them know, this is my new cover. What do you think? Give me feedback. So there are a lot of different tricks you can do as a first-time author to really engage your readers.
I was just going to ask you that, actually. Do you have tips as to the best things people can do to actually bring them to the page?
Yes, there are a lot of like tricks or things that you can do, of course. But it definitely starts, like I mentioned before. It doesn't start the day you publish. I mean, I meet authors all the time. I met an author at BEA recently. She just published her book. She hired a publicist, and typically, I think she in her mind thought she was doing everything right, but she hadn't had any readers before that launch date. She had no traffic being driven. There were a lot of little missing elements that really help the overall process and that day that you hit publish and you go out there live with your book on these major sites. And a lot of that also circled back to reviews. Do you have people that have read the book? What do they feel about it? Are they positive reviews? Can you go live the week of your book with 100 or 200 readers that already can share something? Because reviews, of course, add up to a higher ranking on sites, and that means more exposure, more visibility. So really coming up with creative ideas of how to get more exposure on places that are obviously very filled with books, filled with content, filled with different products. Those are things that you can definitely start working on even the day. I always say when your pen hits paper, but I guess it's when your fingers start typing in a Word document nowadays. But you should start marketing constantly.
Okay, so Pubslush slots into your overall marketing campaign as opposed to being, the main thing that you're doing to get the money and get the book out and then forget about it.
Yeah, I definitely feel that the more and more as we grow as a company and as crowdfunding as a term grows and as the publishing industry is constantly evolving, yes, we definitely see Pubslush fitting into the marketing plan. We see it being the step before publication. We see it being a way to really focus not so much about the book anymore because the book's almost completely done. Now you're focusing on marketing and readership and possibly getting, some blog coverage, maybe setting up a small mini blog tour so people are buzzing about you all in the same, span of time, getting interviews, seeing if there's any, I always, hear people sending out a press release about their book, which, there's pros and cons to that, of course, but what are things that you can do that will make you stand out? Possibly going to your local community. Does your school district have a newsletter? Does your town have a newsletter? What are things that you can do? Maybe your library has something that they put out for this summer. I know my library does, a little pamphlet. And they might want to feature local indie authors in the neighborhood, or maybe you want to suggest them starting to do that. Start a new segment on your own. But there are things that you can be doing to really kick this off without feeling a bit overwhelmed. There's no rush. If you spent the last year working on your book, no need to rush at the finish line. You really need to make sure that you're planning accurately.
You're singing my song. If I could say one thing to the vast majority of indie authors, it's slow down. No rush to press that button. Take your time. Is there a particular kind of book that does particularly well on Pubslush?
My most frequently asked question is this question that Orna just gave me, and I can say with confidence that it has less to do about the book and more to do about the author. It all has to do about do you have any contacts to start with? Does anyone even want to read your book? Because that's a huge thing. If you can't get, I heard, who said this? Someone at BEA said to me, a gentleman at Fast Pencil actually said to me, if you can't get your mom to read your book, we have a bigger problem on our hands. And that's very, very, very true. The only person that can really read your book, that can really, of course anyone can read your book, but you need to be able to get that support, and that really does happen, in this initial stage. But also, I definitely had found that a lot of people were giving their books away for free. People they were so desperate for everyone to read it that they would just order 100 copies and give it to all the people that would probably be their first readers. And I don't think in this day and age we need to give books away for free. Yes, at some point there are giveaways, Google Goodreads giveaways, great, amazing tool to use. It's great to have if you're at an event. I always say put a bowl and give out a book for free, but don't give your content away for free so soon because you're giving it away to the people that probably would most likely read the book.
Okay, fantastic. So, we're coming towards the end. We put in our newsletter today that, about the new community page, and we've invited our members to come along and take a look and, see what it's all about and give the idea some contemplation and see whether it might be right for them. So what can they expect when they land on this page on the Pubslush platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone that's checking out Pubslush, Orna has an amazing page. We have some other great partners out there that have already kicked off their page, like Lulu and Kobo's kicking theirs off this month. So it's definitely a great way to explore and see some other great, not only Pubslush partners, but also the books and what the books are doing, what momentum they're creating for themselves, what are they doing different, what books are working, what books aren't. Look at their rewards, watch their videos. It does take, it doesn't take too much time to really explore Pubslush's website, but it will help you for your own project. When you land on Orna's page, once you're invited with her special vanity URL, and if only you're a member, so definitely join for anyone that's not listening. She's an amazing organization. But when you do, definitely, of course, Pubslush's team is here to help 100% of the time. So if you have a question about how it all works while you're exploring, you want to learn more, send us an email. We'll send you so much information, pre-campaign checklists, our guide for success, for tips for successful crowdfunding, all things that you can use not only for the Pubslush phase, but also the publication phase. Tips about social media, tips about marketing, tips about blog tours, all these things that you really need to know. But it doesn't hurt to explore. Join her community. It's a click of a button. But, of course, the more people she gets to join, the more readers that you will be able to have for you when your book comes out. But please, definitely feel free to email us with any questions. I'm available at amanda@pubslush.com, and you can also reach my team at hello@pubslush.com. We're here to help, and we are excited to welcome all the Alliance authors to Pubslush.
That's fantastic, Amanda. Thanks so much for the lovely welcome. And I know you're sending through a PDF, which I will make sure gets put up on our resources page so that people can have a look at that as well. And I think you can expect a lot of emails in the next little while. So thanks so much for dropping in this evening to tell us about crowdfunding and Pubslush, and look forward to talking to you soon and seeing some great crowdfunded books out there.
Yes, thanks so much, Orna, again. And thanks, everyone, for checking in with us today.
Bye.